Rick, just so you know, I can't see who's in the room. I don't know how many people are in the room, but all right. Okay. Hey, everybody. Hi, welcome to Hugh Live. We started this program at the beginning of the pandemic to bring intimate conversations with alumni from business, fashion, and the creative fields into your space wherever you happen to be. And today we are incredibly grateful to have on hand Andrea Pitter. Ms. Pitter is a 2011 graduate of FIT's fashion design program. She began her bridal company, Pantora, in 2013 with a loan of $4,000 and a determination to represent the underrepresented in mainstream bridal. The business became known as one of the few, if not only, Black-owned bridal brands. And in July, she appeared on Amazon's reality fashion competition, Making It, hosted by Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn, and she won! She won $1 million and a bunch of other stuff too, which we'll talk about. Ms. Pitter, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for winning Making It. That was so cool. That's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you for having me.
So what was it like to come back home after winning?
It was interesting because I knew that I just won making the cut and no one else knew. And so like I was living in this whole world that was a complete secret and I was super paranoid like who knows? Do you know? Don't say the wrong thing. And but it was really nice because I think once I got over that like initial shock and this is a secret, no one else can know, that I really had time to reflect and kind of wait for everyone else to catch up on what I already knew. So it was a good, it was great.
Awesome. So wait, so you came back in what, December, or you were done in, or how long did you have to wait between the and
About
the?
8 months. I think we finished filming in October or so, and
Wow,
so yeah,
so that's
we had
must have
some
been
time.
hard to keep that secret. Jeez.
I'm a great keeper, a secret keeper. I'm an excellent secret keeper, so I wasn't too worried about spilling the beans.
So tell me, like, now that you've won, so how have the win and how have the related funds and the mentorship and so forth, how have they helped your business? What are you planning to do to grow?
So many things. So right now, I actually also won a store in LA. So I'm opening a ready to wear store in LA at the Row, downtown LA. And I'm also opening a bridal store right next door. So some of the things that I had in mind and wanted to do for my business, I'm they're being accelerated because I won
Mhm.
that $1 million. So some of my dreams are more quickly being realized. And it's really nice to kind of see all of the things that I said I wanted to do happen right before my eyes. And so right now we're really working on building and expanding and fixing any cracks in our foundation, because when you start a business with $4,000, very little, that there's always something that needs to be fixed. And so that's what we're working on, is strengthening our foundation.
Yeah, I think you said on the show that you had already decided that you were going to expand beyond bridal even before the show. So,
I knew I wanted to get back to it because one of the reasons that I started bridal in the first place is because I knew as a 23-year-old that I needed to focus on something, like one thing, pick a focus, get good at it, and come back to anything else that you love. And so I knew I wanted to get back, but making the cut really allowed me to um, fuel my experience with actual resources. So the combination of having worked in this industry for a decade plus $1 million surely did not hurt.
right, right, right. Can you think of like one example of something that you're doing now that you wouldn't have done before you were on the show?
I would not open two stores at one time. I would not be doing that. But now I feel like I'm able to. I'm operating in a very clear-headed way. I have the resources to do both, and I also have a really great support system in my mentorship that I also won via making the cut.
Oh, that's right. I forget what were the terms of the mentorship? Who was mentoring you and how's that working?
I have all of the heads of Amazon Fashion mentoring me, and it's really awesome. So like they know their stuff, and they're
Right.
guiding me through so many of the things that I didn't learn, because so much of what I did post graduation was on my own, and so they're guiding me through so much of the things that I kind of skipped.
Got it. I totally get it. Get it. Um, I feel like some designers will talk about how that what they really want is exposure and being on a reality TV show. But I understand what I've read about you is that this wasn't really your dream. Like you were not really big on, you weren't like, it wasn't your dream to be on reality television. So like how did you end up on the show?
So I'm not anti-reality TV, but I didn't make it a point to go, I'm gonna be on a show. I'm gonna like I didn't that wasn't like a part of my big plan. But I also know that when you plan, God laughs kind of a situation. So I didn't really put that as a part of my plan. I had one friend email me casting information for the show, and I kind of was like, yeah, not doing that. Then I got another email. I don't remember who it was from. Right now they're a mystery person. I got an email from them and I was just like, that's weird. And this all happened in one day. And then I signed on Instagram and someone like forwarded me the casting. And I was just like, this is odd. And at
Like
that
they were
point,
looking for you.
yeah, you know what? I say that it feels like destiny. These are all people that know me in some way. So like, it was just really weird that everyone seemed to get the message that I should sign up for this show. And the first person that sent it to me is actually my best friend, and she didn't even realize what she was sending me. When I looked at it the third time via DM, I said, let me read this through. And I
Mm.
read it thoroughly, and it was Heidi, Klum, and Tim Gunn. And I was like, this so far not so bad. $1 million. Oh, this is good. Amazon mentorship. This is excellent. And once like all of these boxes started to check, I was like, you know what? Just go for it. The worst thing that can happen is that you win. So yeah. So I'm
So
happy that I did
so the worst thing happened that you
it.
won.
The worst thing.
Oh gosh,
It
you
is
were
the absolutely best thing ever. So,
doomed to success. Yes. So, what was your experience like at FAT? And I know you grew up in Brooklyn, right? So, did you know about the college? Like, how did you? I know you had a fashion background and a curiosity from a young age, but
so
how did
I,
you end up at FAT?
I went to the High School of Fashion Industries, which is just 3 or 4 blocks away from FIT. And so I knew that I wanted to be a designer. I knew there was no other school for me. And I wasn't like gun ho on necessarily leaving home. And so New York felt like home. Fashion was where my comfort was. And FIT was where I had my eyes on for the whole 4 years of high school. And so that's pretty much how I found out. Like once I decided I was going to be a fashion designer, I had everything set out. Like I'm going here. No one can change my mind. But there is a funny story attached to me going to FIT. Senior year of high school, it's time to apply for college, and I do my portfolio, and this is when we did these things in person. So
Right.
I show up for my interview, and we're all waiting there. The tension is kind of high. Everyone's an excited future graduate, and finally the person that's interviewing me calls my name, and I jumped up so enthusiastically and I was so excited, and I sat down, and she's like, that's the most enthusiasm I've ever seen in this auditioning room. And I was so happy, and I told myself I got in, but my acceptance letter got lost in the mail. And
Oh.
I was waiting and waiting, and I know it's time to decide on a college. Another school had given me a full ride, and I was just like, I really want to go to FIT. And the day that I was sending in my letter saying yes, I'll go, is the day that my FIT acceptance letter came, and I was just like,
Oh. Wow. The luck. Gosh. So it's again like destiny called you twice, it sounds like.
all the time. Destiny has me on speed dial.
So how was your time at FAT? Did you what I mean, this is what's sort of fascinating to me about you. Like you were so skilled. Like that's what everybody would say about you. They would say like, "Oh, she can whip up a dress like instantly." Was that something that you like just that you had always been had that familiarity or did you learn some of it at the college? Like how did that work?
Both. So I'm self-taught. That's why I always say I'm self-taught and classically trained. So classically trained is where the FIT comes in, right? Self-taught is my natural curiosity. So as a child, I would take apart my garments and put them back together. In high school, I always asked the teacher for a different curriculum. They would have set and then switch up the curriculum for me. Same thing at FIT. At any time one of my professors saw that my skill set was more advanced, they would go, okay, do this assignment, but also do this. They were like, we're going to push you. So I'm both. I'm self-taught and classically trained, and I picked up so much of my skill set from FIT and just even perspective. And I always say that college is somewhat of a social experiment. And so, yeah, FIT did so many things for me. It broadened the way that I think.
That's awesome. That's great. Just wanted to say as a little sidebar, if people are interested in asking Andrea questions, they can do that. If they put the questions in the chat or they put them underneath wherever we're broadcasting on, I think, Instagram and Facebook. So if you put your questions there, we will get to them probably in about 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about the show. Like, what was it like? Did you like being in LA? What was it like?
Yeah, we were in a fashion bubble, so I enjoyed it. It was just me and my co-cast mates, like my co-designers. It was just us, and the cameras were there, but you quickly forgot them once you had to kind of get in the zone. So LA was great to me. I don't think I can complain after winning, right? I don't
Right?
it's all good in my world.
But how do you think LA compares to New York?
They're different. New York is always going to be home, right? Like New York is always home, but LA, there's just like a different type of speed. It's still fast, just not New York fast. The people uh the people feel different. Like it's a different type of warm energy where I feel like New York has this it's like crisp and warm. Like people are friendly, but it's just like it's a New York type of friendly. And LA has like it's just a different vibe, but I like both. It's warm there. I love the weather.
I don't know. I don't know. I think Tim Gunn is from the East Coast. Is Heidi Klum from the West Coast? I'm not sure actually.
Heidi Klum is German.
Hey, what am I thinking? Neither coast. Hello. What is wrong? Good grief. So, okay, so do you get a sense of what the business is like out there as opposed to like since you're opening a store out there? Um,
I'm still getting a taste of it, but what
yeah.
I think is really cool about LA is that like people are really like social. They walk up to you, they say hello. I feel like New Yorkers give you like a special like head nod or like look versus like full on conversation. But business seems good. I think my store is being highly anticipated.
Mm.
I visited so many times since my win was announced, and people are really waiting for my store. And whenever I visit the location, I'm always like bombarded with like people asking questions and taking pictures. And so I think people are excited and they want to see the store open. So I think business is going to be good. I'm very optimistic.
I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited. It's interesting. Like people always say, people in LA are so friendly, and it's interesting. Like I think they are. It's true. It's just a very different kind of friendly. I think the way you said it is good. Like crisper. It's crisper in New York.
Yeah, but it's just a different vibe. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, what do you think of all the challenges that you had to do? What was your favorite one and why?
I have two favorites. One, my favorite from a design perspective was the avant-garde assignment. I think that's when I was able to kind of go big and pull from things from my childhood and just
Mm.
really play with different parts of my design aesthetic. And so like I love volume. I love featuring a silhouette. I love doing all of these things. And I was able to combine that, like creating that ginormous bubble coat out of denim and then creating a really slim and fitted silhouette. So that was like my favorite. And then from being a part of the show, my next favorite assignment was episode 6, where we had to create a video campaign. And
Right,
it
right.
yeah, that was my favorite because it felt very me. It was my favorite result of an assignment, I think. It felt very me. That's exactly who I am. The models that were a part of my video, they did exactly what I do on a normal day. Like I call out to people and I'm like, "Hey girl, hey, you look fly." And so like they captured my essence and what my brand is about. But so those two were my favorite assignments.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, what I loved about seeing you on the show was that I felt like I kept expanding what I saw as your style, or your aesthetic and the avant-garde assignment. I was like, I wonder what she's gonna do. And it was so Like it was so interesting how each time you would sort of meet the assignment and be really creative and wild, but at the same time I think, yeah, but that's Andrea Pitter. Like I totally see that as your thing.
Thank
Um,
you. It felt very it felt very Andrea, very authentic to me. And I think once I also got to kind of explain the reference of like Missy Elliott and like also carnival childhood, my mom would always like carry extra snacks and everything in her bag when we went out to like carnival. She's like, don't ask for anything. If you see that candy, you can't have it. I have a candy bar in your bag. So that's why I created like that book bag on the back of my jacket. So it was all just very familiar.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I think I sort of realized that you were going to win on the episode where I think it was the second episode when you did uh, you made the two resort looks, and
Mm-hmm.
the way that you created the fabric I was just like, this is someone who has, it's not just like you're making a nice outfit, you have a really deep knowledge of what clothes can do. I thought that was really fascinating.
Thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence so early on.
Um, I thought it was particularly fascinating how you worked in plus size models. I think that your plus size looks were really, really remarkably good.
Thank you.
And at FIT, I can tell you, like, we've had sizing seminars, we've had all kinds of, meetings and stuff about the sizing problem in the fashion industry. So, like, what's your insight? What would be your advice? Like, how can we make clothing for plus size people better? How can we do better with this?
I think we should probably stop acknowledging them as like plus size people, right? Like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I think like that I understand that there's a reason behind like why we call these people, but like if we see them just simply as people, which that's what I do, I generally don't regard them as plus size unless there's an absolute reason where I'm like, I need to identify this specifically. I see women as women. Just that's it. The average size woman in the United States is probably a size 12 or 14. And it's kind of like, well, what do we do? Do we call people negative size and plus size? Like it just starts to get really weird. And when we start creating just fashionable garments for every and anyone, I think that's how we start to solve the problem. Because what we've done historically is say, you look good in this. And that's not true. You can look good in anything you feel good in because it all starts from within. So once we start to really create garments that anyone can wear and they adapt it as their own. And also I think it's a personal thing too. You have to feel like you can adapt this clothing and make it yours and not really rely on people to tell you what you look good in, provided that you feel good in it.
Hmm. So I think that's great. I mean, I think that it's almost like it sounds like it's more of like a philosophical shift in a way.
I
Although,
agree. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's just the thing is that we think that a woman who would consider herself plus size or a man, anyone rather at that point, that they want to hide something. And that's just not the truth. It's like we think that, oh, we have to add a sleeve on this because they don't want to show their arms. Well, who told you that? That's not the truth. Like we just want to wear really nice clothing, whether it has a sleeve, whether it has a cutout, whether it's fitted and body conscious. Like everyone else is selling us the idea that we have to hide something. And it's like, we just simply don't have to buy it. So I don't want to buy the idea that I need to hide anything on my body simply because that's what the industry is selling.
well, I hope the industry people are listening to this conversation because that is a really good bit of advice. Thank you for that. So, tell me a bit about your Pantora line. So, how did you come up with the concept, and what does the name mean?
So when I was 12 and I decided I wanted to be a fashion designer, I was going to apply for the High School of Fashion Industries and we needed a portfolio. So I said, I'm going to create a brand. And then I got to like naming this brand, and P is for Pitter, which is my maiden name. And Ann is for Andrea and Tor is my middle name. So in true 12-year-old fashion, I just slapped everything together. And it stuck, and that's what I've been calling it ever since.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it. Um, I think you said that part of your goal in the creating this store online was to create a safe space for Black women in fashion. I hope I have that right. Can you tell me a little bit about this concept? What does that mean to you?
So I wanted to create a safe space for women, period. But I know once I create something for someone specific, that I'm inviting so many other people that encounter the same problem. So growing up in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights specifically, like there were no bridal stores. And when I had the opportunity to open my store, I was like, well, where do I do this? And I knew that I had been selling wedding dresses online for a few years prior to 2013. I think I did my first wedding dress order as a sophomore in
Wow.
college. So um, I recognized immediately that there was a lack of representation in bridal, and I knew that, you know, the age old saying, if you build it, they'll come. And so I knew that had I built a bridal store where Black people live, that I would get Black brides, and we really could maybe make a transformation in this industry. And so I made sure that I catered to Black women, to our body types, to our skin tones. And I said, other people who are encountering this problem will find me, and they have.
One of the things that you did in the line was create linings. Can you talk about the lining gesture? That's interesting.
So it's called Forgotten Skin Tones, and I launched it in 2016. So we call it FST for short, but it's really about the skin tones that have not been acknowledged within the industry, and it's about creating illusion mesh and illusion linings that are complementary to all types of skin tones. I knew I had got engaged in 2015, and I knew I was going to get married, and the trend was illusion dresses everywhere. But I found that brides were in this like peachy universal nude, and it didn't match their skin. And I was like, well, the point of this is to be illusion, but here we are, Black women being forced into dresses that don't match our skin tone, so therefore they're not really illusion. So I had taken about a year to really create this mesh and lining, and here we are, we're about 7-8 colors in, and it's really true illusion, and it's available to brides, and they don't have to guess what this illusion might look like on them.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I'm gonna have one more question, and then I'll start opening up to the students, which is my last question is, what advice do you have for young designers starting out?
I have two pieces. One, to start, right? Don't just say you're starting. You actually have to put your foot on the gas. I think sometimes we talk ourselves out of our dreams, and there's a reason we have them. Is we need to go after them. But most importantly, it's your why. Like, why are you doing the thing that you're doing? Because once you're able to define that, you can check in on it and make sure that you really are checking in on your why and doing all the things that you said you were going to do. Like, my why was to create a safe space for women, and and what that meant was to really create a space where they could be themselves, and they didn't feel like they had to operate within any standard. They could come into my bridal store, they can dance, they can turn up, they can make jokes, and they didn't have to come in with their pinky up. Like, I offer relatable luxury. Like, come in, have a good time. We are your honorary bridesmaids, we are your homegirls, but you can also experience luxury in that way. And so by defining my why, I'm able to check in on it and make sure that everything I do is dedicated to that.
That's also excellent advice, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be benefiting from that. Thank you so much. Let's see. We had some questions here. These are pretty good. This one's good. This is it's sort of a two-part question, so I'll just do both. The first one is, this is a yes or no question. Do you think Black creators and designers don't get enough recognition in the industry? And then related question, do you feel that the industry lacks diversity when it comes to showcasing Black designer work?
No, we do not get enough representation. I think the industry has skated long enough, and now the tide is turning, and we definitely aren't getting highlighted. What is the second question again?
Oh, similar. Do you feel that the industry lacks diversity when it comes to showcasing Black designer work?
For sure, there is definitely a lack of diversity. I think that sometimes because of tradition and how the industry has operated, that they haven't had to go out of their way and find diverse and or Black talent, and so they've just always been able to include other talent in publications, on TV, on celebrities. They just haven't had to go very far, but now we're making demands and we're
Oh,
saying, we're not showing up for you if you don't show up for us. And I think that I'm glad that I'm getting to see that change.
is red carpet something that you want to do or are interested in for yourself, do you think?
You know who the real celebrities are of my brand, are the regular people, the regular people. We're not that regular. We're super special. But you know, if a celebrity loves my brand, I'm happy for them to wear it. But honestly, like I get so much joy in seeing everyday people wear my clothes.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Although it's interesting, like I think of your stuff as being like something that, some celebrity could wear. It's certainly really wearable. It looks really like the feathered like jumpsuit that you made was so great. I could totally see somebody getting married in that. It looked
Yeah. The goal is really to encourage everyone to feel like a celebrity at some point. There's so much for us to celebrate. I wear sequin in the daytime. It's a treat for me. I just feel like there's always a reason to get up and get dressed. And so celebrity or not, like your life is worth celebrating. Like have fun, put on the sequin, wear the feathers, do all the things.
we need more spirit like this in the industry and actually in New York, all around the city, totally. Here's another question. This is good. What challenges do you feel you faced before you opened your store between when you graduated in 2011 and when you opened your store in 2013? What challenges did you face?
Oh, you know what? I didn't listen to my professors and I should have. So many
Oh,
of my professors was like were they the advice, and it's great advice, is go in, work, gain some experience, mess up with other people's money, and then go start your brands. And I did that for a very, very short period of time. I should have done it longer because I wasted a whole lot of my money. But you know what? I call it failing forward. So I failed forward. It's fine. But I really would have spent more time working in the industry and just kind of learning things. And so that's kind of where I messed up a few times. And like I said, failing forward, I don't call it like a mistake or anything like that. Um, but I've gone through a lot of interesting things in regards to age, in regards to race, in regards to being a woman. Being in the bridal industry is a white owned industry operated by women but owned by men. And so it's an industry that, you know, my face wasn't normal. Like seeing me wasn't normal when walking into a room. And when I would be a part of trade shows, people would come up and assume that I was the sales girl, or I had a lot of advice. Hey, you know, maybe you should put someone else in your booth. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So if they don't love me, then they won't love it. It's just very simple. So you know, I encountered a lot of things, but none of those things were bigger than my will to succeed.
that makes a lot of sense. That's terrible that happened. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
it's a conversation I don't think that we always have. I think so many times, especially Black creatives, where we empower ourselves to kind of keep moving forward, and we don't necessarily talk about the things that have happened to us, because we don't want that to be the focus of our careers. But it happens. It does unfortunately happen.
that's should not be the case.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. So here we have another question. I think this is a person who's angling for a job, Andrea. It says, if you had the opportunity, would you mentor a recent graduate from FAT?
If I had the opportunity, I would mentor a lot of people. I I am mentoring right now, so I will at some point take new mentees, but you have to like look for a post or something on Instagram. But I'm definitely open to it.
Okay, so watch Andrea's Instagram, which should be, you know, easy to find, and maybe that's how you're going to get your gig, you guys. Okay. I'm not sure I understand this question, but I'm going to try to ask it anyway. Let's see if I'm not sure what it means. How was your experience in the C building? Maybe that means,
The C building is the fashion building. I haven't referred to these buildings in a decade, y'all. The C building. You know what? The C building was an interesting experience because I think it's really about your experience at FIT. I remember I was about to say season one. This is how you know I just filmed a reality show. Freshman year, semester one, I walked in overly confident. I walked into this building because I had just graduated fashion industries high school, and the first semester, the first two semesters of FIT is like the last 2 years of my high school. And so I walked in and I knew everything. I knew nothing, by the way, but I thought I knew everything. And it was very interesting to see a portion of my classmates struggle because they didn't have any any experience at all. And then a portion of my classmates excel. And then some floated somewhere in the middle. And it was really interesting to see how some of the designers would excel in art classes and then maybe not excel in construction classes. And it was just really interesting to just see like the pattern of that, and just to really experience different skill sets. So the C building was just interesting because you'd see who slept overnight in the sewing room. You could tell the next the next morning. I remember we were so jealous of the merchandising majors because y'all always looked cute. You looked well dressed. Y'all looked like y'all slept. The fashion majors didn't sleep. Like, what's that?
Boy, do you stay in touch with any of the either students or faculty from the programs?
You know what? I've stayed in touch with a few professors. One being Professor Uvinio, who's awesome. Who also I think just got a promotion, so that's really cool. Professor Bess, I keep in touch with him on LinkedIn, and then Professor Stephen Cutting also. But several of my professors definitely have reached out since the show aired, and it was nice to hear from them. And I have friends who went to FIT, many friends.
Oh, okay, good, good. And they're all waiting to figure out how to copy you and be as successful, I guess.
I think FIT prepared us to be successful, so all of them are doing pretty well.
Okay, good. Someone has asked, I think you answered this question. Someone asked how you came up with your brand name, but I think we've answered that.
Yeah.
Someone's saying, I started a fashion company. How do I get funding outside of family and loans?
First of all, don't do that. Don't take money from your family. You know what? That gets interesting because I got a loan from Brooklyn Co-op, which has been an amazing resource for my business. But in the very beginning, I like to keep it 100. When I applied for my loan, I applied for an $8,000 loan because I just thought maybe they'd give me $8,000. They did not. They said, you know what, Andrea, we're not giving you $8,000. We'll give you four. And that's what they came back and did. And so like I took out a loan, but I did this thing. So many of us take out loans to go to school. So many of us do that. And school is really to prepare us for our future. And so that's what a business loan is too. And so I didn't hesitate when it came to taking out a loan that is ultimately supposed to do the same thing that taking out a loan for college does. So yeah, take out a loan. I don't know if you want to take any money from grandma. Grandma needs her money. And find another support system, one that will hold you accountable, because family may not, and the bank does.
Interesting. That's interesting. It's good to know. I mean, the amount is seems relatively small, actually, $8,000 to start a whole business. Like
Oh, it was nothing.
I was gonna
Hindsight is
say.
2020. Hindsight is 2020. $4,000 doesn't go very far. I used to say I operated in broke minimalism. So when my store opened on October 27th in 2013, so we're coming up on our 8-year anniversary. There was nothing in there but two chairs that I found in the as is section of IKEA. And I bought $100 chandelier and installed it in my bathroom. And there was nothing really in the store. We had some garment racks, and the only thing that I had were dresses. And I figured the dresses have to get me through. That was the reason I was opening the store. And so I put my effort and
To emphasize for young designers the very scrappy, like resourcefulness of your stuff, and your business, and it's so impressive. Like, did you learn that from someone, or is that just like innate, like you just kind of have
it's
it?
innate. When you don't have, you do it what you got. When you don't have, you have to do it what you have, with what you have. And you know, I will say this: it is so much nicer to do things with money. It is so much nicer. And so I don't want to take, I don't, and you can invest it in yourself. Please do. It's so much nicer to not have to start from the absolute bottom. If you watched Making the Cut, and you saw very emotional episode 7, because I still cry about episode 7, and so many people cried with me about episode 7, when we opened our concept stores, and I was staying the whole day. I cried the entire day, from the morning it was time to go till we wrapped, I cried that entire day. And it's because there's so much of my business that I had to surrender to. There's so many parts of it that I didn't get to do the thing that I would love to do because there were other more pressing parts of it. So building out the store that I would love to have, when the product and the people again are the most important thing, that you really put all of your resources into the priorities. So to be able to like just say I want to create a train station, I want to create a subway, and like it happens, and I'm not thinking about like how does it get funded. I'm not thinking about how many people have to come and help me, because I could not tell you how many light bulbs I had to put in myself and so many, like, things that I've had to do myself. I was at one point I was the pattern maker, the seamstress. I was doing all of the consultations, I was doing the alterations, I was admin. To not have to do those things is amazing. And so while I haven't had to do many of those things in a long time, as your business grows, it requires more things and more money and more people. So, it was really emotional, because that's not the experience that I've had over the last 8 years. I've had to sacrifice. And so, yeah, if you have it and you're able to invest it in yourself, please do. But also just know that not having it is not a reason not to go for your dreams. Please be resourceful and figure out what you can do in the moment.
Well, I think you're a really good example of someone who was able to do that, and I think that's really very inspiring, actually. And first of all, I just want to say thanks for the subway, the New York subway. Of course, it's like not really New York subway because that's something you don't want to see nice clothes in, but it was so awesome. It was so creative.
Thank you.
How- what was your process getting to Subway from concept store? Like, did you just did it come to you immediately or?
Immediately, actually. Like, this wasn't one of those things where I really pondered on. Like, I was like, I want to create a subway station, and lots of it has to do with my commute from Brooklyn to Manhattan to go to FIT. Like, so much of my work got done on the train. I remember sitting on the train early in the morning and late at night, and sitting with my legs crossed, sketchbook open, tape measure around my neck, and just zooming in on my work, and like people watching and getting inspired by people and their personalities. And just, that's what I did for so much, 8 years, from the time I started high school to the time I graduated FIT. And it felt very nostalgic, and it felt like I had to, like I needed to acknowledge my 8 year experience of taking the train every single day and acknowledging the people that I saw.
Wow, it's like a little hidden FIT reference in there in a way. It's nice. Someone is actually asking, did you study abroad, I guess, while you were
No, I didn't get the opportunity to do that. I wish I did, though.
maybe next, maybe some other time. Um, and then someone says, where do you get your inspiration from? Where is inspiration for you?
My inspiration comes from people. I think I'm one of those people focused designers. I get a lot of inspiration from joy, from color, from patterns. I really am concerned about what people feel like in their clothing versus what they look like. Like, what they look like comes second, what they feel like comes first. I like to say that I'm a joy focused fashion designer. So I get really inspired by people. I'm people watching regularly. My clothing is normally classic silhouettes paired with modern textiles. So I love sequins and feathers, and finding out what else you can do with a fabric. But I love a classic silhouette. So how can I take something that feels very familiar and make it really, really new for you?
Mhm. Yeah, I like I said, I think one moment that I really thought this woman is probably going to win this competition was when you were able to do that very creative look for the model where the pattern ran right down the middle. It was perfectly centered. It was very creative. I really was struck by your ability with fabrics in particular.
Thank you. I think that when people are shopping, um that not everyone is as daring as the next person. And I don't know that I want to push them or encourage them to be. I love when people show up as an elevated version of themselves. But I think what's really important in fashion is approachability. Like, no one wants to be intimidated by clothing. No one wants to feel like they're going through their day wondering if they look okay. And so, like, my approach to fashion is like, how can I make this relatable but still fun and edgy, and just something that maybe you can talk about throughout your day. It's a conversation piece, but it still feels like it's yours, and it's not just like yours for the day.
Excellent. Okay, we have one more question here. It's I think probably from a student. It says it's a two-part question. Let's start with the first one. Should a new fashion company use a production house to start their brand?
I think it's about your resources. Like, do you have the resources to use a production brand, or do you need to be in your bedroom cutting those patterns? Like, what do your resources look like? I started my business when I was 16 years old from my bedroom. So, what do your resources look like?
Hmm. Yeah, very practical.
Yeah.
Um, I was fascinated also in the show that you guys had to work with tech, had to like design a tech pack for the seamstresses. That was really fascinating. What was that like? What was that experience like?
So, I talk in bullet points when I want to when I want to get my point across, I talk in bullet points. So like my experience was very straightforward. Like I know that it was very frantic for many of us, but I took the approach of like, I need you to understand this. So
Mm,
I am bullet pointing everything, and I'm probably gonna bullet point it in the way that it needs to be created. So we're gonna have a full circle moment from it being nothing but cut pieces of fabric to a fully realized garment. This is I'm walking you through it. But questioning yourself on whether you're getting your point across is probably where everyone goes frantic, but also the fact that we're all waiting to the last minute to put these tech packs together. Like we're not thinking about it when it's time to start our assignments. We're only thinking about it the last 10 minutes when we're all rushing to get things in the bag. And here we are 10 minutes left to create a tech pack. So it's bizarre, but it's very, very helpful. Not having to focus on creating the garment and really focus on designing the garment is one of those things that reality competitions like these don't do. They don't let the designers focus on their talent. They make them focus on their skill set. And this was a happy medium of both.
I mean, I think that's one thing that I think a student would really either have to learn or they just have to be born with it. It sounds like you were just kind of born with the ability to think really clearly. These are the points I need to make, to this person. That I don't know if you can study that,
No,
but
I think FIT does a
yeah.
really good job of teaching us how to create tech packs. I do pride myself on being a great communicator, but I do think that it really is about how do I want this to get accomplished, and can I create a clear way of telling you how to do that. And I don't know if it's like something like I was born with, but I definitely think that I was trained by the best. Like creating a tech pack is not an easy feat. Like you do have to understand how it's going to be made. And one of the points that one of my professors, I think it was Professor Best, made a point to tell me, I think sophomore year, was you cannot tell people how to create something if you yourself don't know how to create it. And if something goes wrong and they go, well, this can't be done, like how do you prove them otherwise? And the way you prove them otherwise is to be able to do it yourself.
Very good. Excellent. The same person who was asking about the production house asked, how many pieces should I start with?
This is all an affordability question, I think like the question is, how many pieces can you afford to start with? Do you have a demographic? Do you have customers? Like there's a lot of questions you want to ask yourself before you go in and start manufacturing clothing. Like who
Hmm.
is buying them? That is first and foremost. Like have you tested the market? One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of us make, and some like I said, these mistakes fail us forward, right? Is we jump in and we haven't tested anything. We haven't dedicated any time or any of our resources towards education, like and
Hmm.
research. Like spend some time on Google. Don't just jump in and say, I'm going to create 500 units and you don't have 500 people to sell it to. Like, just, yeah, test the market.
Very, very smart. Very smart. I think we're coming toward the end of our chat, but I see one more question here. Um, can you make it as a designer alone without sewing and pattern making?
I think so. I think so. I think if you're able to clearly indicate your desires, that you should be able to make it. And I also think that this is one of the things that I talk about a lot. Is like you have to define what making it means to you, because like making it means so many things to other people. Making it could mean I want to be sold in 100 retail stores, and making it could mean that I just really want to provide for my family. Like what does making it look like to you? And then work towards that, and then you can level up later. But
Yeah.
yeah, making it is an interesting concept to me. But you definitely can. Just I think if you can't sketch, work on sketching. There's always something you can work on. But also like work on communicating.
Very good. I mean, that's really again, just really terrific practical advice. So I think we're sort of at the end of our questions. Like, what can we expect from you next? What should we look for next from Andrea Pitter and Pentora? What's coming up?
So many things. So I'm opening my 2 stores in LA. We're currently doing a small rebrand, nothing major. I am casting, so if you all want to be a part of my casting, I'm casting for friends. So you have to be real life friends. Gotta love on each other a little bit. Send pictures. I'll post on my Instagram today. But send pictures of you and your friends together, and maybe you can be a part of my next campaign.
Oh, that's a really good opportunity. Very juicy. Good. Okay, I think this has been great. Thank you so much, Andrea Pitter, for coming by,
For
and
having me.
it was an honor to interview you, and we're totally psyched for your success. It's so great to see you, and great to see your line doing so well. And thanks everyone for joining. If you have questions or thoughts on this program, please send them to me. It's Alexander_Joseph at fitnyc.edu. Thank you again, and thanks to you all, and stay safe, folks. Thank you. See you, Andrea.